Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your Rangers Review Team News reaction video ahead of tonight's game against Roma. I was expecting a little sting, but it never fired. But there you go. Myself and Joshua will delve into tonight's team. Joshua in the media room at this moment in time. How goes it, Joshua? What's the cuisine that's been laid on tonight?
What was the cuisine? Lasagna, but it was despite the fact I was early, I didn't get that much of it, Derek. But what I had of it, it was good. Busy press box, as you can imagine, with it being a big team that Rangers are facing, two big teams coming up against one another, and I think a big game because although Thursday nights haven't exactly been very good, if Rangers don't get a result tonight, then their last four games in Europe could be effectively dead rubbers, especially if they were to lose next time out as well. So I think a bit of impetus tonight on them to try and build a bit of momentum, even though it is the most difficult opponent they've faced so far, and they've obviously not got any points in the competition up until this point.
Yeah, they better win because I'm going to the next two games, so there better be something to play for. So over to you, Rangers. Right, let's get to it, folks. This is tonight's team. It's fair to say that it's not been met by widespread satisfaction, it's fair to say. So the team is Butland in goal, back three of Tavernier, Suter and Giga. Aarons and Magoma either side in the midfield four, including Raskin and Barron, who returns to the fold in the middle. Gassama and Moore either side of Yusuf Chermiti up top. On the bench for Rangers, Kelly, Wright, Cornelius, Fernandez, Diamande, Rice, Asgard, Cameron, Curtis, Miovski, Danilo and Ant-Man. Myself and Chris produced our lineups earlier on the show. Joshua, neither of us would have got this team, I don't think, in a million years. Your thoughts on tonight's lineup?
Yeah, a few surprises, isn't there? I thought it would be Moore and Gassama, and I think it'll probably be Gassama off the left or Gassama. I don't know which one we're saying this week. And Moore off the right. Gassama, okay, Gassama off the left and Moore off the right. I kind of thought that Mohamed Diamande might come in ahead of Conor Barron just because he tended to play ahead of him in Europe, but based on the showing that Barron had against Hibs, I think his inclusion is justified. Nico Raskin is always going to play because he's the only one that's really been trusted at the base of midfield so far by Danny Rule. And yeah, a few surprises in defence. I thought it would be James Tavernier at right centre-back, Derek, because I think he gives you the ability to arrive and he gives you a goal threat arriving into the box. And we know that he knows how to do that in European games as well, don't we? So slightly surprised to see him there, but Max Aarons did play that 90 minutes against Hibs last week. And Jayden Magoma is plainly the only option that can play that left wing-back spot until Rangers kind of flip this formation to be a little bit more lopsided to the right, or they address it in the January window. Yusuf Chermiti, I think the reason he largely starts is because this is a big physical Roma team who have a lot of physicality in their defence, but also at the top end of the park, depending on how they use their substitute bench. So not entirely surprised to see him playing. It gives Rangers a bit of an outball. Given his performance at the weekend, he is someone who could absolutely do with a goal.
Yeah, lots of comments coming in. Robert Burns has come back from the dead, and he says that this is one ghastly lineup. Maka with a point, even in Derek and Joshua, who saw that lineup coming? Well, not me. Hugo Bear with an interesting point. He says, "I on Sunday?" ? Perhaps. Of course, Rangers face a trip up to Dens Park on Sunday. Certainly, the team looks like that Danny Rule is utilising his entirety of the squad. A few surprises in there. Chermiti. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. I don't expect much if he gets a goal. If he holds the ball up, then happy days. But Rangers need more quality up top, especially against a team like Roma. But he's been the preferred option by not only Danny Rule, but Russell Martin in Europe. So, I keep saying it. Another big night for him. Go and show what you're all about, buddy, and get a goal. I think Moore and Gassama will be vital in trying to create opportunities for him. He has to take them. Unlike Sunday, can't afford to miss chances against a team of this caliber tonight. Interestingly, that Giga keeps the jersey and Cornelius is not in there. There was a comment actually from Bobby. What's wrong with the big Canadian? Not too sure. I think, again, it may just be resting for Sunday, perhaps. But I've got to say I'm slightly apprehensive about that backline, Joshua.
Yeah, and I think you have reason to after the weekend, Derek. One thing I would say is Rangers played with 10 men for a large portion of that game, so there's going to be some tired legs. Derek Cornelius was down at the end with cramp, wasn't he? He's played quite a lot of football, but not having that left foot. I think he's been Rangers' best defender probably in the last few weeks. I think he's been better than Suter. And Giga, he recovered a bit in the second half, but it was a pretty shaky first half against Celtic, wasn't it? I think shaky's probably being generous to him. The reason Chermiti plays for me is the reason I think Danny Rule has picked him is he's spoken a lot about his off-ball work so far, and I know people won't care about that, and understandably so when he's missing big chances. But also he gives you a bit of an out ball with his physicality. With that said, he couldn't really hold the ball up at the weekend. I don't think he was helped by the fact that he had two players who wanted to move towards the ball, and Tello Asgard and Danilo. Maybe with Gassam and Moore tonight, Rangers can get up the pitch a bit more effectively. And I thought that helped them after the break against Celtic, in particular Mikey Moore, but also Gassam kind of running beyond. And let's be honest, Eric, he's been Rangers' only real attacking threat. I tweeted out the other day when Chris did that great piece on the striking situation that I think Finlay Curtis should see more minutes at the moment because he's Rangers' joint top third goal scorer and he's hardly played any minutes, but he scored that important goal off the bench against St Mirren, scored a kind of clinching goal against Alloa, and obviously the strike against Panathinaikos, which was so influential in Rangers actually qualifying for Europe. So it's not a team with a lot of attacking consistency at the moment, which is why Gassam had to start the weekend for me. He's in tonight, and Mikey Moore, who's been bright from the bench for the last few weeks, really, and bright against Hibs as well. He gets to start, presumably, I think, on that right-hand side, just off of the number 9.
Yep. Incidentally, folks, the Roma team, they line up in a 3-4-2-1, consisting of Svillar in goal, is a good goalkeeper, incidentally. The back three of Mancini, Hermoso, and Ndika. In the midfield of Celik, Cristante, El Ayanoy, and Tsimikas, who they brought in from Liverpool, of course, on the left. And up front, two players in behind Dovbyk, the Ukrainian, Sule, and Pellegrini. So that is how tonight's opponents will shape up tonight. How do you see it going, Joshua? I think Rangers need to win this game. I think the crowd will be important. I very much hope that Rangers get an early goal, get the first goal at least, get the crowd on their side, and perhaps that might be the catalyst to go on and get the first points in this group stage campaign. Anything less than 3 points, and it's good night Vienna, really.
Yeah, that's the point, Derek, isn't it? That if it's almost inconceivable that you could have 4 games in Europe that are meaningless. But if Rangers don't get anything tonight, that's what it will feel like, unless there is some sort of miracle in the upcoming 4 games. For me, they just need to get something tonight. They need a performance. I think that Danny Rule's football, if it's more direct, will appease this crowd on a European night, and it will feel a bit more like the football people expect to see. Defenses getting turned, aggressive off the ball, comfortable spending time off the ball, but not what we saw here against Genk, which was the less said about that, the better. And on a day where Rangers probably should have conceded more than 1 goal. Let's see how they do that. Roma are in a great shape in the league. They don't concede much. They don't score much, and they're missing a few good players. For me, Derek, it's a type of game, an opponent that in recent years, I think, you never know, Rangers might be able to do something here. This squad haven't shown enough, I think, for you to put a confident assertion across that they're going to be able to do it. But if they are able to put in a result tonight, I think it could be big for Rule. Just breathing a bit of life into a European campaign that otherwise could, I guess, bring the mood down even more in a season that doesn't need that help.
Yeah, all to play for Rangers tonight. Pressure on Roma as well, of course. They have lost their last 2 at home also, so that's not something that they'll be too happy with. But a huge night for Rangers. It'll be interesting to see the attendance. I know that there's a number of tickets available. You were in pretty early, Joshua. Is it not as sort of partisan and full as what it would normally be in the streets in and around the stadium?
I just think that as I was saying there, this team and the club hasn't done enough to generate anticipation so far this season. Not anything close to it, Derek. So I think the crowd deserve a bit of a performance. The crowd deserve a bit of a Thursday night that they've not had here all the way back to Fenerbahce. This is a Rangers team that, even when they've been pretty poor domestically, they've made the quarterfinals of the Europa League twice in a row. That's dropped off the face of a cliff this season. You can't judge Danny Rowe much at all, I think, on what happened over in Brann. This is his first real test tonight, and it's a tough one. Let's see if he can turn the corner and get the crowd up for a bit. But I think it's more on the players to try and generate that, and then there will be a response. But they need to probably build that expectation with how they start the game.
Yeah, incidentally, Celtic, a number of comments coming in. Celtic getting absolutely hammered in Denmark, Midtjylland 3-0 up in that game. So, let's hope Rangers can get a similar scoreline tonight. That'll certainly send the punters home happy. That team, once again, folks, Butland in goal, Tavernier, Suter and Giga at the back, Aarons and Magoma either side of Raskin and Barron in the middle, Gassama and Moore supporting Yusuf Chermiti up top. And the bench for Rangers, once again, is Kelly, Kieran Wright, Cornelius, Fernandez, Diamandi, Rice, Asgard, Cameron comes back in, Curtis, Miofsky, Danilo, and Oliver Antman. Right, that'll do us there. We'll be back on the full-time whistle to report on the events at Ibrox. We'll join you then, folks. Keep your eyes peeled for that video, but we'll be dropping just shortly after the full-time whistle. So, we'll speak to you again then. Bye for now.